Okay, so here I have my pattern. This is the back pattern and this is my front pattern. Okay, we already have illustrated how to draft a basic bodice back pattern, but here I'm transferring it into a shirt pattern. It's just a very simple shirt. So this is my basic bodice. I closed the shoulder blade that and added it to the armhole to make it have some freeness. Then I did nothing to the waist that it will serve as ease, as freeness to the shirt. Then at this upper part I have to cut out 1 inch from the front shoulder area and added it to the back. Okay, this is 1 inch. It was taken from this part and added to the back so that it can help it drop down just the way shirts usually is. And here I added 1.5 inch for button and sewing allowance, 1 inch for button and ½ inch um for sewing allowance. Yes, so that is all I did on the pattern. At this point I closed the shoulder dart. I closed the shoulder dart and transferred, eliminated some and transferred some to the armhole and to the bust, just very small quantity. Okay, so this is what we have and we're going to cut. I'm extending it up to beyond the measurements up to 27 so that it can be a bit longer than this. Okay, so here I added 1 inch sewing allowance on all the sides. Then here I added just very small 1/4 inch for the sewing allowance, and that's what I'm going to be working with. So I'll have to cut. At this point, don't mind the fact that I slanted it. I'm not going to open. This is the back CB. I'm not going to open it, so I'm just leaving it on a straight line the way it is. Okay, so I'm going to cut it and cut it. So this is what we have for the back, and now we'll proceed to cutting the front. This is the front part. I've added sewing allowance right round, and I'm still going to cut it. This is our button area plus ½ inch sewing allowance, 1 inch and ½ inch sewing allowance, that's 1.5 inch. So I'm going to cut it now. So when you get to this part, it's good you notch here so that you know where your button is going to start. The button allowance is starting. So now I'm going to cut the front open because we are having button in front. I'm going to cut it open. Okay, so what I'm doing here is to pick the back shoulder and the front shoulder and put them together and pin. That's how we're going to sew it. Excuse me. The back shoulder and the front shoulder and join them together. Okay, just join the front and the back shoulder together, and here we have joined it together using our sewing allowance, and then we're going to fix what we have at the front. Whatever design you're fixing at the front for the button area, you can still not put your design, but here we're putting a design, so we're fixing the design right side to wrong side. Just watch the way it is being fixed, and this is just how it's going to look like after fixing. Okay, right side of the design to the wrong side of the shirt. Pin it together for easy sewing. Pin it together and join. It's as simple as that. This is 1.5 inch. Remember, we cut 1.5 inch for the button, including the sewing allowance. So we've used 1/2 inch for the sewing, and we're going to iron it. Iron it open so that it relaxes, and then you're going to fold it over. Remember our notches so that you don't sew past it. So this is how you're going to fold it. You could use a hemming gum under. You could use a hemming gum under so that it will be easy for you to sew it. So you can just iron it properly. Very hot iron because of the kind of material. You can just iron it properly to make it easy for you to sew. But here I used a hemming gum. I used a hemming gum to hem it and then fold it and sew. Okay, that is after using the hemming gum. This is how it is. Then I folded and sewed. I folded it. This shirt is just very simple, no stress once you have your pattern. So after everything, this is how it is on the both sides. I've sewn it together, iron it, and it will relax. Okay, so now it's time to join the two sides together using our sewing allowance. We're joining the front and back side together using our sewing allowance. As simple as that. Join the two sides together. Now, after joining and you notice that your neck is too wide, you only have to reduce it from the shoulder area. Okay, if you notice it's too wide, when you fit it and it's too wide, reduce it from the shoulder area so that it comes close to your neckline. One principle you have to bear in mind is that if your neck measurement is 15, your shirt neckline shouldn't be more than 17. That is 2 inches added to it. If it is more than that, it's going to be too wide for you. Okay, so here we've joined the two sides together. We've joined it together, and what we're about to do is to measure the neck line that we have, to know the measurement we use to cut the um, collar, the shirt collar. So we're measuring it. Excuse me. Please try to subscribe and give us a thumbs up if you deem it fit. Subscribe and come back next time. So here we have something that is bigger. This is up to 18, so we want to reduce it. And we reduced from the shoulder line, from the shoulder joining. Okay, so here instead of 18, what do we have 16 points, close to 17. Okay, so this is what we're going to use to cut our collar. Just to tell you that we reduced it from the shoulder area. Okay, so we're using our measurements to cut our collar. So this is just a paper, and we're dividing our measurement into two. If we have 17, we're dividing 17 into 2, and that gives us what? 16, 8.5, right? Depending on the measurement you're using, divide it into 2 because the paper is on fold, or you're just making a pattern for it. So whatever you have, locate the midpoint. If you have 8, locate the midpoint, which is 4. If you have 9, midpoint, which is 4.5. Whatever you have, locate the midpoint. Then at the edge, go up by ½ inch or 3/4, or even 1 inch, depending on how you want the collar to curve on your neck. So here I went up by 3/4. You can use your free hand or use the curve to connect it to the midpoint. Okay, connect it to the midpoint. Then from that slant, take your the height of your collar. Here I'm using 1 inch. Okay, so you're measuring the 1 inch from the lower part to the upper part, which is the height of the collar. 1 inch for all of them. 1 inch, and that is the height of our standing collar. Okay, that's the collar stand, whichever way you want to understand it. The collar stand, the standing collar, whatever. Okay, so we'll connect the dots together. Connect together, connect together. Very simple and straight to the point. Connecting it together in a straight line. Okay, so we'll go in by 1 inch. Just watch where the 1 inch is coming from. We'll go in by 1 inch, and then we slant to the other part, which still remains what it is at that point. Okay, you can curve using ½ inch. So this is what we have. All right, that upper part is going to be at the upper part on the shirt, while the lower part is going to be fixed on the shirt neckline. So here we're going up by ½ inch, and we're going to connect it to the 1 inch that we came in. Yes, we're going to connect it there. You could either use a straight line or use a very slight curve, whichever one is okay. All right, so that is where we connected it, ½ inch. And so at that point, we're going to come up by 2 inches. We're coming up by 2 inches. Excuse me. We're coming up by 2 inches, and those other parts are going up by 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. This part 2 inches, the other part 2.5 inches, and we'll connect the two lines together. We're connecting them together. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. We'll have more videos coming your way. Okay, so that is how we connect it. This is just the basic shirt collar. At this point, you can give it any slant you want. You can give it any shape you want. It must not be this particular style. So here I want to extend the collar pattern. I want to extend the design, the length and everything. I'm using a small fabric. That's why I left it small. I wanted it to be very big and stylish, so you could just make yours anyhow you deem fit. You must not follow the rule. So at this point I'm connecting to where my line stops. You must not follow the rule. You can create your own rule and live by it, and even others will have to live by it. So from the basic to what I want, right? So I'm going to cut it out. Drafting your shirt collar is this simple. There's no magic to it. It's just this simple. So we're cutting it, and I will show you what it looks like. So this is it. We cut off the ½ inch that is in between where we remember where we raised by ½ inch before connecting 2 inches to 2.5 inches. So this is what the pattern looks like. We're now going to cut on our stay. You could use stay, you could use color gum, you could use paper stay, whatever stay or whichever stay you want to use is allowed depending on the fabric you're using. We're using a crepe fabric here, so I'm cutting this pattern using an stay instead of a collar stay. It's not a rule, you can cut it on anyone. I just don't want it to be too hard. Okay, so after cutting on my stay, I'm going to transfer to fabric and add ½ inch sewing allowance. This is just what the collar will look like after sewing. So this is my stay, cutting stay, and I'm going to transfer to fabric. Cutting stay, no sewing allowance. The sewing allowance is only coming on the main fabric, and we're cutting 2 pieces for each. 2 pieces for each. Okay, so this is for the standing, and that other is for the roll collar. Okay, so we're going to close the upper part while the lower part remains open. We're going to see how it is closed, just showing you the areas that you're going to close and the areas that might remain open. So here I've sewn the areas that need to be closed. Where I'm touching are the parts that I have sewn. Okay, the design of the collar down to those points. And then the lower part is open. I'm going to from there turn it inside out. I'll have to turn it inside out and iron it properly. Okay, iron it properly. Then take the collar stand and place both on top and under to join them together. So this is what I have. Place it. Don't mind the fact that I'm using one hand to do this. Okay, hope you understand what we're doing. Put it together and sew. This is the easiest method to join these two collars together, right? There are so many other methods you could use, but this is just the best. Put it together like this, one under the row collar and the other one on top, sewing on your sewing allowance. So here, after joining, this is what we have. We're now joining one part of the collar to the shirt neckline. Okay, once you do this, you'll find a way to it. We're joining one part to the shirt neckline, and we're going to use the other parts to cover it up. So just sew on your allowance. Take one part, join to your neckline, then turn the other part and use it to cover what you have joined, to cover the rough edges. I hope you understand. Just watching this, you know what to do. You have a clue on what to do. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, so we're going to sew it, and I left it halfway so that you could see what I'm doing. So this is how to cover it. After joining, use one part to join, then use the other part to cover up. I actually sewed from the wrong side. Now I'm using a semi exaggerated sleeve, just very simple sleeve, very simple sleeve, and join to the armhole. You can use any sleeve of your choice. I did not use the actual shirt sleeve, so I just made a simple sleeve for it. I hope you understand this video. Please subscribe to our channel. We're going to bring you more interesting videos very soon. Thank you so much for watching.